Good morning, everyone on the West Coast, and good afternoon, everyone on the East Coast. This is John Garmendi with Sony's Imaging Products and Solutions of America. I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend, and we thank you for joining us on another in our series of Tech Tuesday presentations. This week, we'll be going over our 4K Pro SXRD laser projector series. We're very proud of this series of products. Especially the BPL GTZ 240, which won the Projector Central Infocom 2019 Best of the Show Award. Joining me this week will be our main presenter, Jason Metcalf, Sales Support Engineer for SXRD, our Product Manager, Sander Phipps, and our Marketing Manager, Terrence Boyd. We're going to kick things off with a short video this week introducing just a number of the applications where our SXRD projectors are in use. And then Jason will join us after the video for the presentation. Just a couple of housekeeping items. I will put some links to our SXRD projector and previous webinars in the chat session, and also ask that you submit any questions via the question box. So with that, we'll kick off the video, and I'll turn it over to Jason for the presentation.
Hey everybody, I hope you're able to see the video and I hope you're able to see my presentation now. Thanks for being here. As John said, my name is Jason Metcalf. I'm the SSE for our 4K Pro SXRD projectors. I'm going to go through some of the kind of broader features of these projectors through the presentation, but we will have time for Q&A afterwards, so please keep your questions and ask them at the end, and we'll try to address any questions you may have. So, our 4K Pro SXRD projectors are just one of the areas where we as Sony have projector technologies. You have probably heard, if you've been attending the Tech Tuesday sessions, about our business projectors. These projectors have a focus on, low maintenance and higher brightness. And we also have projectors for our consumer market. These projectors also, feature our SXRD panel, as well as other consumer-focused features such as, IMAX enhanced and other consumer technologies. Our 4K Pro SXRD projectors really live in a space where we share features from both these areas. They all feature our 4K SXRD panel. They have a focus on high contrast up to 20,000 to 1, but then also feature elements that make them very low maintenance, long life, and have some industry specific features that we'll get into a little bit later in the presentation. You'll find these projectors in many different markets, as you saw through the video. However, we do have a big emphasis with this line on the simulation market, and whether that's defense simulation or commercial aerospace. These projectors, at least some of the models, are very much designed to meet the needs of these areas. That being said, some of those needs are shared with many other industries. We have a big emphasis with this product line on planetariums, but then any corporate education needs for higher resolution, image fidelity, are also able to be met by this line. We see across all these applications that our projectors are used to create large canvases or even small canvases with multiple projectors. They're used in critical viewing applications or immersive experiences in which viewing distance and eye limiting resolution is incredibly important. And then in any application where high resolution imagery is incredibly important. And we're able to meet these needs because of the unique technologies that are used in these projectors. The primary one really is our 4K SXRD chip, which is a true full 4K resolution chip, no pixel shifting or anything like that. And it has definitely some benefits versus a DLP technology, like better black levels, higher contrast, higher response, faster response times. But then, also compared to other LCOS technologies or LCD-based technologies, we have features like a smaller interpixel gap, which means you're going to get higher brightness and more of your chip is actually generating a picture versus not. And then, through our generations of SXRD chips, we've realized benefits such as improved black levels, reduced light scatter. So it really is a robust and well-developed technology at this point. And it really is the heart of all of our 4K Pro SXRD projectors. You may be familiar with single chip DLP systems that use a color wheel. These systems are good for economies of scale and cost, but you can see anomalies such as the so-called rainbow effect with this technology. And for these critical viewing applications, this technology is really not acceptable in most cases. What we have is a true 3-chip projection system across all of our projectors, 1 panel per primary. And we do have another feature here that Sandra Phipps, our product manager, wanted to speak to a bit that has to do with our lasers. Sandra?
Thanks, Jason. If you look on the right hand of the slide, we are using a laser phosphor system like many manufacturers and many types of projectors. One thing is unique is you'll see there's two blue laser LED assemblies. We are using 2 wavelengths of blue LED to both illuminate the phosphor element to produce light, and also to add pure blue light to the image path. This gives us a much wider color gamut and a much more accurate color reproduction. To Jason's point about the image quality and image fidelity, this is one of the techniques that we have employed and developed to do that.
Thanks, Andrew. This 3-chip technology, as Sandra said, the dedicated blue laser does allow us to realize a wider color gamut than some other technologies in the market. So we can do simulated BT 2020 and DCI P3 color spaces with these projectors, which obviously have that need for HDR, wider color gamuts has dramatically increased, over the past even just several years. Another big advantage that I've mentioned a little bit is low maintenance. So we actually specify basically zero maintenance for the projector for the life of the machine. So, or at least the life of the optical engine. So 20,000 hours in normal operation, or up to 40,000 hours in a low brightness mode, you will not need to do any maintenance on this optical block. So no cleaning of the chips, no filters or anything like that you need to change. It's made to be installed in tight spaces and in arrays of projectors. So you really want to not have to maintain them regularly, which is a huge benefit that we offer. And to expand on that a little bit too, a lot of these installations are they need a huge amount of flexibility for the projector. So we have 360 degrees of freedom in 3 axes for installation. You can install it literally in any orientation that you'd like. We also have this feature where if you have a side-by-side system, you can actually turn one projector upside down, swap the feet, and then cabling can be reached by either side instead, and controls instead of sandwiching those in between the 2 projectors. All these projectors are liquid cooled. They have a pressurized system, so which obviously you need for this installation flexibility, and they're relatively compact as well. As I mentioned earlier, one of our models, the GTZ 280, does have several optional licenses that are available for purchase with the model, and these are all meant to meet very specific needs for really the simulation market, or some other markets as well. So for instance, one of the licenses enables this dedicated infrared stimulator. So this is for night vision training. There is a dedicated IR element in the projector that will stimulate only the red panel, and this is a widely used feature in the simulation market. But other licenses like 120 hertz playback and HDR obviously have implications, reaching beyond just simulation. I did want to explain this briefly too, because it's maybe a little confusing. We have a license for the 280, which enables this 5,000 lumen brightness mode. So out of the box, it is a 2,000 lumen projector. With a license, it can bring you up to 5,000 lumens, but really, this isn't just so you can have a brighter projector. It's more about maintaining a light level constantly over a longer period of time. So as you can see in the graph on the bottom, this red line is more about maintaining about 2,500 lumens over 40,000 hours of life versus a gradually declining brightness over about 20,000 hours. So these are the projectors specifically. So our newest addition to this line is the 240. It is focused on the simulation market. Like it has its big brother is the 280, which you'll see in 2 slides. This is a much smaller projector though. It's a 50% reduction in mass, so it's half half as heavy, 2,000 lumens out of the box, and it is what we would call our sort of more economical model, but it's very widely used, and it is definitely designed to meet all the needs of the simulation market. Next, we have our 270 model. So this is what we would call a more general use projector. It is 5,000 lumens out of the box. It can meet wider color spaces, which is 100% achievement of DCI P3. But it doesn't have some of the simulation-focused features of this next model, the 280, which has the optional licenses that I went over before, up to 5,000 lumen light output, and some other simulation-focused features. So we have 2 lenses available for this line: a short throw 0.8 to 1.02, and a standard lens 1.27 to 2.73. And this page just shows all of those optional licenses as accessories that I covered previously. Okay, so those are the projectors, and we want to talk a little bit about applications. So where we see our 4K Pro SXRD projectors being used are in image quality critical applications. As you can see here, I would not say that this is a kind of a general use projector for every space, but for industrial design or planetariums or museums, we're a great fit, and we've seen a lot of use in those areas throughout the life of this product. They are focused somewhat, and we have 2 models, the 240 and the 280, are focused somewhat on the simulation market. This market has very specific needs, such as high contrast, low maintenance, but not necessarily high brightness, which is something that you see in most other projector applications. We have developed, specific technologies from Sony that meet these needs, and overall, our projectors, our technology, are a great fit for this space, as well as many others. One of our partners in the simulation market is RSI Visual, and they're a great company. They primarily focus on what are known as level D flight simulators, which is the highest specification of flight simulators, and they found our GTZ 280 projectors to have high resolution, high contrast, low maintenance, which is what they wanted to be able to offer to their customer base. And there are many integrators in simulation. Many of them are much larger than RSI, although they're quite a large outfit. But RSI really focuses on high quality, and that's where they found our projectors to be a great fit with what they do. They don't want to provide necessarily a commodity type solution, but they want to provide a very high quality solution, and that's where our 4K Pro SXRD projectors can meet that need. Likewise, at the Houston Museum of Natural Science, our GTZ 280 projectors are installed in their Burke-Baker planetarium. They set out with the help of an integrator, Evans and Sutherland, to find a technology that was 4K, that had great edge blending, very low maintenance, and high contrast, and they were able to find that with our 280 projectors. This is a 10 projector system in their planetarium. It's an incredible picture. Some of the other areas that we're in are listed here. All of them are about image fidelity and image critical application. Data visualization and simulation and cave systems, color correct needs in post-production. These are all areas where our 4K Pro SXRD projectors can meet the needs of these various industries. And we are part of a larger group that you've heard from quite a bit over the past couple of weeks. We have a a solution, within our group for basically every space in a corporate environment. So from lobby spaces with our direct view LED screens to meeting rooms with our business projectors and Pro Bravia products, digital signage, and full building automation with TIOS. And then, of course, in specialty spaces, auditoriums and theaters, executive briefing rooms with our 4K Pro SXRD projectors. In summary, we have great image quality, native 4K resolution, great contrast ratio, advanced usability features such as installation flexibility, low noise operation, and virtually zero maintenance over the life of the machine. So with that, I think we're ready to take some questions.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, we do have some questions. The first one is from William, and he asks, can you talk about using the new SXRD in a university DCP screening room? Is that type of input available on this unit?
Right, thanks, William. So these projectors are not DCI compliant. They won't integrate natively with a cinema media server. That being said, you can play content that was produced in DCI P3, and it's going to look great on these projectors. But no, these are not cinema focused projectors.
Thanks, Jason. I think we have a similar question from Anthony. He asks, what HDR formats are compatible with the SXRD Pro projectors?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as formats, we do support HDR10 and hybrid log gamma. Sandra may want to add on to that, but I believe it's those two. And we can show P3 color space as well as BT 2020.
Yeah, actually, that's accurate. So
thank you.
Okay, we have a question here from Allah. He asks, can you just talk a little bit more about the meaning of the gamut system? And color, he's asking, what is color gamut?
What is color gamut? Sure. Yeah, very simply, it's the number of colors that the projector can reproduce. So typically, you'll have, most projectors on the market, general use projectors, are in a 709 color space, sRGB model. So we are able to reproduce a certain percentage more than that space. I don't know, Sandra, if you want to speak to that.
yeah, I mean,
more specifically,
the measurement of how much volume, if you will, or range of color you can reproduce. So if you're thinking about reds, can you reproduce an orangey red versus a true red? One thing I would like to add is, besides having a wide color gamut, and I think this is sometimes overlooked in the industry, is an accurate color gamut. Especially in corporate environments, if you take a display device into, say, Coca-Cola, it should better be able to produce Coca-Cola red, because they're very sensitive to that particular color. We are very color accurate, so what you see is what you get, and in these types of applications, that's really important.
Thanks, Sandra. Yeah, and I'll just add to that, you have to have a wider color gamut in order to faithfully reproduce HDR content, which is something that we're obviously have seen more and more need for over the years.
Great. We have a question from Ron. He asks, which projector might be best suited for an art house cinema space? About 90 seats, need to throw an image about 50 feet. want to show old films and such.
Sure. So that's great to hear. And you know, I want to do a lens calculation and all of that, but definitely I think the 270 would be better suited for that space than the other two projectors.
Very good. We have a question from Linda asking, what are the differences between Sony home theater projectors and your Pro line?
Definitely. So I would say briefly that it's about some additional control over calibration, and also our home projectors, they do have certain features that are specific to the home market. And the biggest one, you know, that I can think of is IMAX Enhanced, which is a kind of an HDR immersive audio format that IMAX has developed. So, you know, that's something where if you play a piece of content that has that IMAX Enhanced feature on your home projector, it will be able to recognize it and play back in the right format. And on a Pro projector, which doesn't have that feature, that focus, you may not find the same results. And then of course, you know, in the 240 and the 280 are more simulation focused projectors. Those features like a night, you know, IR stimulator, 120 hertz playback, I'm pretty sure, you know, those are features that are not in our our consumer projectors.
And we have a question from Dave. He says, you referenced single chip DLP. What about color space comparison with three chip DLP?
It's similar, if not a little. We have definitely better color accuracy. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. Sandra, I don't know if you had anything to add.
I mean, compared to other laser phosphor 3-chip DLPs, because we're using this secondary blue laser, we have slightly wider color space. To Jason's point about HDR, because our black level is significantly better, we have much better dynamic range, which interprets into much better HDR performance as well.
Great. Question from James asks, how does Sony SXRD compare to other LCOS chips?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't speak to other LCOS chips specifically, but I'll say that I think in general, we do have a smaller gap between the actual pixels on the chip themselves itself. So which means more of the chip is reproducing a picture than not. And so what that helps with is, of course, brightness. It helps with light leakage, and so you get a better black level, higher contrast. We also have what's called a vertically aligned crystal. So in its native state, it's better able to reproduce black versus a different LCOS technology, which may not be natively off per se. I think those would be the main differences. I think when you do compare SXRD to other LCOS chips, we do have a much better contrast ratio and a better black level.
Very good. And a question from Dominic. You mentioned 2 lenses. Are there other lenses available?
Yes, thank you. So we do actually have some third-party lenses available from Navitar. I know is at least one manufacturer. Those are primarily like fisheye lenses for dome installations. I'm not sure if there's any more. Sander, do you know of any other lenses available?
There's another company called Genoptic. They make some similar kind of specialty optical lenses for like fisheye lenses or unique application lenses, if you will.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's, you know, because of the applications, we don't really have like an ultra long throw lens or anything like that. And it's just kind of outside of the scope of these products.
And a question from Dennis asking for clarification on the warranty hours. I don't know. Terrence, would you like to take that one? Sander.
Yeah, so as far as the standard warranty, it is a 3-year warranty on that. And typically, the life of these laser optical blocks are rated for 20,000 hours. And then, of course, as Jason mentioned earlier, when those are running at half power, that typically tends to run closer towards 40,000 hours. So that, and that's one of those distinct advantages that laser offers versus some of the other technologies. And so that's one area we're pretty proud of.
Thanks, Terrence. We have another question that maybe you can respond to. Marcel asks, in terms of roadmap, are there plans for higher brightness projectors in this series?
As far as the future roadmap of the product, I mean, one of the things that our product planners are constantly looking at for the 4K Pro SXRD line is, of course, additional brightness, higher brightness. So we understand the competition, and we understand that higher brightness applications are out there and prevalent, very strong. And at the same time, we constantly balance our unique heritage with image quality. We do pride ourselves in that image quality aspect, and that's why I think out in the marketplace, people do look at Sony for image quality heads and shoulders before anybody else. And with that said, though, we are looking at some different ways that we can create and compete in brighter environment type situations, but at the same time, maintain that image quality aspect of what we do well. So I think down the road, it'll be great to see some new products come out, and hopefully we're just as hopeful as some newer products coming out. I know we're testing and we're looking at some new higher brightness models, somewhere in the order of about 10,000 lumens. But as of right now, we're anticipating and hoping that those products come out soon.
Thanks, Terrence. Have a question for maybe Sander or Jason. Giovanni asks if we can discuss Sony Pro's dynamic iris as compared to a DLP projector.
I mean, I can speak to it. We do have a lens. Well, we have a couple ways we can modulate light, basically, to increase black level and increase dynamic range. Basically, we do have one lens that has a classic iris in it that allows you to change the aperture as the average picture level, as the brightness, scene intensity increases. We also have a couple modes in the projector that will affect black level, that will react, if you will, dynamically to the changes of scene content. So there's actually two ways to do it. I'm no expert in the DLPs. I think the DLPs mainly do it with a lens type application or a mechanical device in the optical path. But
thanks, Sander. We have another question from David. He asks, do your 4K Pro SXRD projectors line support the use of ISF color calibration software?
Yeah, Sandra, I know we have our own calibration process.
Correct. Not the short answer is no. And someone asked about the difference between the consumer and our Pro SXRD projectors, one of which is the APIs and the ability to control things. So off the shelf, out of the box, no. For an ISF type calibration, you would have to create an API. The good news is the hooks are there that you can do that. We do have integrators and some end users that have created such things to do that.
Thank you. We've got a question from Rick. He asks, I guess this is an application question. So he's got 12 to 16 foot throw distance with a lot of ambient light in the room and wants to know which of these projectors would be best. Sander, maybe you can take that one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. That's a tough question, and the reason I say that is really, I guess the main question would be is what are they trying to look at, or what are they trying to do? If they, ambient light is always tough. Ambient light will adversely affect your contrast ratio because the screen can only get as dark as it is when there's no light on it. More than likely, the 270 probably would be the best bet because again, it has natively the highest brightness and the widest color space. But I couch that by saying it depends on the application.
Thank you, Sander. And we have a question from Tony asking about TAA compliance.
Sander, maybe you can take that now.
Yeah, the 280 and the 270 currently are made in Japan, so they are trade compliant. They're TAA compliant. Terrence, you might have to help me on this. There is some movement afoot to make the 240 TAA compliant, but I'm not sure. We're not at this point, and I'm not sure exactly if and when that will happen.
That's right, Sander. We are currently looking at that, but no definitive decision has been made just yet.
Okay, and I think this is a follow-up. Rick, you had asked about the application, and I see here you sent just some clarification comment that it's an IMAG application. So I'm assuming it's
270.
maybe for House of Worship or so on.
Right, 270.
Thanks, Sander.
GTC 270.
And just looking over the questions, I believe we have come to the end. I'll give couple more seconds in case anyone wants to send one in right at the end. No, seeing no other questions, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us this week. Want to remind everyone, next week's presentation will be on our business projectors. We'll be covering center brightness classification, new lenses for high brightness models, emulation mode, and advanced exchange. And also wanted to remind everyone that on June 16th, we will not be having a Tech Tuesday, as this will fall within the dates of the Infocom Connected show. And we encourage everyone to schedule a virtual meeting with us during that time frame. So again, I wish to thank everyone for your time as always. If there are topics that you'd like to see covered in the future, by all means, please contact us here via the chat or reach out to your local Sony account manager or reseller. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you very much.